Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD. Now, I appreciate your tuning in and turning on very much. News in the headlines. News in the headlines is that, believe it or not, remember when we had the Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD, which has sold over 100 million copies. It's sold over 100 million copies. And the thesis of the Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD was the notion that MDs shouldn't be trusted for medical advice because they have amongst the shortest lifespans of any human being. So inquiring minds want to know, why on earth would we go to the MDs for information about health if they are the shortest lived human beings in the United States? Well, guess what? Physician suicides are in the news. This from Medscape.com. It has been reliably estimated that on the average, the United States loses as many as 400 physicians to suicide each year. 400 physicians to suicide each year, which is the equivalent of at least one entire medical school. Sadly, although physicians globally have a lower mortality risk from cancer and heart disease relative to the general population, they have a significantly higher risk of dying from suicide, the end stage of an eminently treatable disease process. Perhaps even more alarming is that after accidents, suicide is the most common cause of death among medical students. In all populations, suicide is usually the result of untreated or inadequately treated depression, coupled with knowledge of and access to lethal means. Depression is at least as common in the medical profession as the general population, affecting approximately 12% of males, 18% of females. So inquiring minds want to know, why are MDs killing themselves at such an alarming rate? Well, the basic understanding here is that the MDs are killing themselves at such an alarming rate because they are outside of, they're as clueless as you and I are. They don't know anything. They don't know any better. They don't know how to help themselves recover their health. They don't know how to optimize the structure and function of their human bodies. They do not know how to do it. They do not know how to do it. And because they do not know how to do it, they are victims of their own, what's the best way to put it? They are the victims of their own insanity. They are the victims of their own methodology. They are the victims of their own way of looking at the world. I guess it's instant karma, right? I mean, what goes around comes around. And the MDs deliver unbelievably poor therapeutics to the rest of us lowly human beings. Their therapeutics, right, the leading cause of death in the United States, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. This is the legacy of their monopolization of the medical marketplace. And because they're so full of themselves, thinking that they can't possibly be wrong in their methodology, when they themselves are up against a very difficult health situation, they lean on their own therapeutics and they die. Or they're forced to commit suicide. It will be an interesting statistic to look to see how many MDs who do commit suicide are taking antidepressants. That would be a very interesting statistic to look at. But this is the way that it goes in the crazy world of MD-directed, monopolized, Machiavellian medicine delivered for profit here in the United States, North America, the European Union, Australia, and quite frankly, in all countries in the civilized world. Because, you know, wisdom begets wisdom, but folly begets folly, and all that the MDs have to bring to the table when it comes to chronic disease, understanding and treatment, is folly. Their therapeutics are based on old-fashioned, outdated information. Outdated, old-fashioned therapeutics, which, quite frankly, nobody is paying any attention to except a handful of longevity members, Dr. Wallach and myself. And this is the notion. This is the single biggest thing that we have to talk to people about. This is the single most important thing for people to understand. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but your medical doctor does not know what's best for you. And your medical doctor is 100% ill-equipped to bring to the table therapeutics, the intention of which are to make your body well. They can't do it. They can't do it. And as is evidenced by the fact that they themselves suffer and die from their own inadequacies. I guess it's okay when we die from their inadequacies, but not when they die. But nonetheless, this is where we're at. This is the situation that we live in. This is the world that we live in. And this is why we encourage everybody who has a brain to just, honestly do a self-assessment. I mean, how do you feel? How's it going for you since you've been following the advice of the MDs? How is your mood, your energy, your appetite, your sleep? How is the quality of your life, your energy? How's your blood pressure? How's your heart? How are your aches and pains? Are you suffering from chronic aches and pains? How is your health faring while you have given yourselves over to the MDs? And if you have given yourselves over to the MDs, how have the treatments, been for you? Do you feel healthy? Are you getting better and better since you've been on board with the MD treatment, or are you getting worse and worse? Is your quality of life improving? Do you feel like there's a bright horizon of health ahead for you? Or do you feel like you're just going to get worse and worse every year, and the medications and the treatments that they're prescribing for you have to be increased and managed and increased and managed and increased and managed? And oh my God, are you happy with that? I mean, we have to objectively just ask the question, how's that working for you? Most people do not ask this question, how is that working for you? Because they only believe that, or they believe that the only medicine that's available to them is MD-directed medicine. They actually believe that the only medical therapeutics available for them or for their loved ones are the therapeutics brought to the table by the MDs. And because they actually believe this, most Americans do. Most Americans have no idea what chiropractic is. They have no idea what naturopathic is. They're just clueless about the realities of holistic medicine. They just don't know. And they actually do believe that the MDs have the secret decoder ring to all things medical, and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack with substandard training. So therefore, when I'm between a rock and a hard place with my health, the only person that I can go to is the MD. And so guess what? They go to the MD, and then they get worse, and they go back to the MD. And then they get worse, and then they go back to the MD, and so forth and so on until death do us part. My people are destroyed by lack of knowledge because they are unaware that there do exist in real time science-based, clinically verified therapeutics, the intention of which are to support and promote the human body's God-given ability to fix itself. This information is outside of the realm that most people walk around in. This information is certainly not taught in school. It's not taught to most high school students. I mean, go ask a high school student what a naturopathic physician is. Go ask a high school student what an allopathic physician is. And go ask a high school student if they can compare and contrast the difference between the holistic methodology and the reductionistic methodology and see if they've even heard of the term allopathic before. Most people have not. And so, we blunder and we move forward at a slow pace. We blunder and we move forward at a slow pace while our loved ones suffer and die all around us, and then our own health starts to fail. And then, quite frankly, the health of the MDs themselves start to fail. And so we look at this situation and we think to ourselves incorrectly, well, if the MDs don't even know how to make themselves healthy, if the MDs are committing suicide to a large extent, there must be no hope for us. And this is the single biggest mistake that we make. We believe that our medical doctors, our MDs, know what's best for us. And we do not believe that there are other ways, which are science-based, clinically verified. We do not understand that this situation exists. We do not know what we do not know. And our lack of knowledge, our lack of just elementary information, and I'm not talking, is killing us. And I'm not talking about having people be able to articulate biochemical pathways and to be able to understand the pathophysiology and the genesis of high blood pressure and the genesis of type 2 diabetes and arthritis. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, simple understanding, just simple understanding. But holy smokes, well, if my plumbing's messed up, I should call the plumber, not the swim coach. Swim coach works with water, but he's the wrong dog for the hunt. I need the plumber, right? When my plumbing's broken. If I have a hole in my roof, I need to call the roofer, not the guy that installed my driveway. Well, if you're suffering with a chronic disease, you need to run away from your medical doctor, and you need to run towards your holistic health practitioner. This is the simple foundation that we need to teach people. Because MD-directed medical therapeutics for chronic diseases do not work. MD-directed medical therapeutics for chronic diseases do not work. We wouldn't go visit a chiropractor if we needed open heart surgery. We wouldn't go and visit a chiropractor if we needed a bullet removed from our arms. They're the wrong medical professional for the job. Well, along the same lines, we are fools if we bring our bodies, which are suffering with a chronic disease, to the office of an MD, because the MD has nothing for us whatsoever. And this is the single biggest thing that we need to learn. We just need to learn what they're good for, what the chiropractors are good for, what the acupuncturists are good for, what the medical nutritionists are good for, what the homeopaths are good for. And, we need to go to the right person for the right condition. But because of the monopolization of the medical marketplace, that does not exist. Stick around. I have a very special guest in the house. He's coming up in the next segment and will be with me for the rest of the hour. I'm Dr. Glidden. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD. If you're watching the live feed on YouTube and you want to join in the chat, it's free. Go to the drgliddenshow.tv, click on the appropriate button, and join the worldwide live chat. My guest for the next hour, Bill Quaitman, is a wellness concierge, author, and marketing consultant with a focus on integrative regenerative medicine. He's the founder and chairman of a functional nutrition company, Advanced BioCell, president of hair loss solutions and a beauty company called Created Hair. Check the website out, createdhair.com. Since 1978, as a passionate student, he studied holistic health, natural medicine, including a 32-year tutorial with holistic professor of psychiatry at Northwestern University, Dr. Bruce Boyd. He's worked with and learned from some of the most progressive and visionary medical doctors and integrative natural medical physicians in the field for more than 15 years. Bill has been in business development in the field of orthomolecular nutritional testing since 2000. He's worked with some of the preeminent doctors and experts in this field, including Dr. Abram Hoffer, one of the few MDs that I actually have respect for. With his company, Advanced BioCell, Mr. Quaitman has developed a comprehensive process for engaging, guiding, educating, and servicing clients in the rapidly growing field of system-based functional medicine. It is my pleasure to introduce to the listening audience Bill Quaitman. Bill, welcome aboard. Pleasure to have you with me.
Thank you, Doctor. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, we're like twin sons of different brothers, different mothers. I'm going to bring up your picture here with also a copy of your website for the audience that's watching on the live video stream. There's Bill's website, advancedbiocell.com. Let's start there, Mr. Quaitman. Tell us about Advanced BioCell and what you guys are up to.
Okay. We are a concierge wellness company. That means we take you and ask you where you want to go from where you are and help you get to where you'd like to be. If you're staying at a hotel and you want to go to a theater or a restaurant or a coffee shop, we'll get you there. So essentially what we do is we start with hair tissue mineral analysis, personalized nutrition testing. The best idea is to find out what your metabolic function is, so we can know how your engine's working or not working, and then we can know which ways we can send you to help you feel better. That's really the basic idea. So we start with that stepping stone. We go piece by piece. I actually just jumped into feeling fantastic with the cherry mints. Took the cherry mints the other day. They were great.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, so there's so much to know and so much to understand. I had the great privilege years ago of having lunch with Abram Hoffer. He came to the naturopathic college that I was attending to and gave a lecture on something. I can't remember what the topic was. It was more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But, Abe Hoffer really was a pioneer, along with Linus Pauling, about the remarkable effects that simple nutritional interventions can make in the health of people suffering with really remarkably chronic, big bad voodoo daddy illnesses like cancer, like schizophrenia.
Right.
Of course, he founded the whole field of orthomolecular medicine. And I'm wondering if you can give the listening audience a little bit of a personal experience. There's maybe some stories about remarkable things that you've seen with patients with your type of holistic nutrition.
Sure. Dr. Hoffer spent about 35 years literally curing schizophrenics with vitamin C, niacin, vitamin E, large doses of the basic nutrients that we know affect people. He thought that there were three basic areas people needed to be attended to if they had that type of illness. They need to be respected, they need to have a safe place to live, and they needed proper nutrition.
Right.
Now, nothing really much has changed. You can get more detailed into it. You can talk about the blood sugar levels, you can talk about grain intake and the like, but that all funnels back down to that basic discussion. So he was treating people for, like I say, 35 years with those types of serious mental problems and keeping them alive. And he was a fantastic clinician. He was a cantankerous old guy. I was writing a book with another doctor on the subject. And
hey, hold on to that thought, Bill. We're up against a hard break. Ladies and gentlemen, more to come with Bill Quaitman. We're going to have a lively conversation here. Stick around. So glad that you found the time to join me here today on Fire Your MD Now. I'm Peter Glidden here. A very special guest this afternoon, Bill Quaitman. As it turns out, Bill's quite a renaissance man. In addition to the extensive work that he's done with holistic health, he's a songwriter and a performer and an author. His book, Daddy-Daughter Dinner Dance, is a kind of whimsical, insightful guidebook for creating a harmonious step family life. And Marianne Williamson, author of the best-selling Everyday Grace and A Return to Love, says about Daddy-Daughter Dinner Dance, it's a treasure and a love. Bill and his daughter Linda bless the entire world with the love they give to each other. Check out his website, BillQuaitman.com. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, he's also been a health coach on the set of the acclaimed TV series NYPD Blue. Bill, all of a sudden, my career seems a little less shiny at the moment. I'm so very glad that you're with me now. So very glad that you're with me now.
You can't say that. You can't say that. We need people like each other to talk to these people out there. It's important to get this around. You're hitting it on the head. You're hitting the nail on the head. You're knocking it out of the park. We need to be spreading this word around. There's too many people walking around sleeping.
It's true, and suffering needlessly into the bargain. So give us a little bit of a kind of a hands-on experience of some stuff that you've seen, remarkable things that you've seen people get on the other side of with the holistic approach.
Okay, yeah. The stories that I could tell are the same stories that you could tell. People with chronic and degenerative illnesses and diseases, long-term, for many years, trying to find solutions that just weren't apparent. One of the things that comes with the nutrition, the personal nutrition testing that we do with Advanced BioCell, is that we get a measure of a person's metabolic function. We can see what their adrenal glands are doing, their thyroid glands are doing, their whole endocrine glands, how they're relating to how well or how poorly their bodies are taking nutrients from food, holding on to them, and turning them into energy. You know the old phrase, you are what you eat. Well, it's incomplete because you are what you hold on to.
From what you absorb, absolutely.
Right. Exactly, right. So let's start at the beginning. One great story, one of my favorite stories is my wife and I met on Match.com, so let's praise the Internet for a moment. And we met up and I said, okay, you know, you're hot stuff. I really like you a lot. One thing you need to be doing is taking pills with me if we're going to hang out, because I take pills, I take supplements, I take the stuff. I drink stuff, I eat stuff that's good for me, and if we're going to play together, you need to do that too. So she said, okay. So we got her first hair tissue mineral analysis, and she jumped right in and started taking pills, and then right away started getting nauseous. Now, that could be a healing event. That could be detoxification. That could be any number of things. So then we cut it down to half, and she was still feeling nauseous. So then the good news is we said, okay, well, let's do a digestive function test. So that turned out to show that she had some type of infection, viral infection, that had been there since she was a kid. So what we can do and what we can find with this type of investigation is a real clear pathway, aside from some really basic foundational supplement support, which absolutely everybody needs, is some very specific information. So we went back, we got her on some intense probiotics, we repaired her gut, we got rid of the infection. It took a while. We are organic beings, are we not, Doc?
We are.
So it's not a switch, it's not a pill, it's not going to go away in 10 minutes. Put your seatbelt on and prepare for a little bit of a ride. But after, several months, she started turning the corner, started getting back on the supplements, which are, intense supplements because they're governed by U.S. Pharmacopoeia standards versus the Fraud and Death Administration. I can say that on your show, can't I?
You certainly can. This is a point well taken. I mean, it's a point well taken. And, over 70% of somebody's liver can be completely compromised, and they can be 100% symptom-free. They wouldn't know it unless they had some type of objective testing done. You can have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is called the silent killer because you can have high blood pressure and you're 10 minutes away from a heart attack, and you would have no idea whatsoever that you had high blood pressure, so you have to measure certain things. Now, what I like and what I advocate for people every day, all of the time here on the radio program is foundation boilerplate medical nutrition for the masses. And here's and these two systems of medicine, the foundation boilerplate medical nutrition for the masses and individualized testing segue nicely together. And here's how I hold that in my mind. With most people in the world who, for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years or more, have been eating all of the wrong foods all of the time and whose bodies have been mostly undernutrified, there's a lot of trouble in their bodies. It's kind of like we're on a sailboat, we're sailing into a harbor, there's a dense fog, the radar is out, we don't know where to go, what are we going to do? We're going to throw an anchor overboard and we're going to wait till the fog burns off. So,
I kind of say slow slide into a ditch, but,
Right? So when we give generalized counsel, stop eating these 10 bad foods and take these nutrients into your body, appropriate for body weight every day, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, the fog is burned off and the arthritic pain is better, the sleep is better, the energy is better, and the mood is better, but maybe, there's something else that's hanging fire. So when people with our generalized holistic medical nutrition for the masses program hit a snag downstream, that's when we can use testing like is brought to the field by advancedbiocell.com in order to get a really good idea of what organ system in the body, is stuck and what we can do with supplementation in extra in order to get beyond the snag. I think, quite frankly, the marriage of these two things is pure genius.
I really appreciate also your conversation with me about that just the other day, because I was looking for a way to kind of piece the two together, and because like I say, the plant-based mineral product is something that's just essential and crucial. It's something that everybody needs. Linus Pauling said it himself. All chronic and degenerative diseases come from
mineral deficiencies.
Right.
It's a remarkable thing. And so, you've been working on one end of the spectrum with individualized workups on individual patients, and I did that for a number of years, but for the last 5-6 years, it's been broad brushstrokes for the masses, because honestly, Bill, I mean, if all of a sudden we all woke up tomorrow and there were just as many naturopathic doctors in the world as MDs, there still wouldn't be enough naturopathic doctors to go around. There are hundreds of millions of people sick and suffering, all of whom need to stop eating 10 bad foods, and all of whom need to fill their nutritional tanks up. That's what they need to do initially. Everybody needs to do this. And so as we, what we're attempting to do here is to make a big splash in the lives of people across the board, everywhere that is humanly possible. A big splash. This is a big splash. We're up to big business here. And, when we can combine these two things, I think it's really outstanding. Now, is there any way, because I'm not that well versed in, the ins and outs of the advanced biocell therapeutic programs, are those only available through, physicians or holistic health counselors, or is this something that individual people can go online and manage themselves? How does that work?
No, actually, because the supplements are so potent and so targeted and so personally designed because of the efficacy. I mean, most people don't realize that the FDA has a law called the FDA Tolerance Clause. I love the language. It allows, by law, up to 80% of the vitamin to be absent from the pill compared to what it says on the bottle. Let's say that again. Should we say that again?
Say it again.
It allows, by law, up to 80% of the vitamin to be missing from the pill compared to what it says on the bottle. So, what does that mean? You go to Trader Joe's, you say, hey, I got a great deal on vitamin C. I got 1 million tablets for 10 cents, and it's 1,000 milligrams. No, it's not. And so, what they want is what they get, which is people still get a slow slide into the ditch with their health. If they're buying, even, you buy good stuff, it's still Solgar, maybe has 50% of the vitamin in the pill. That's not enough. So, no, you have to go through a practitioner to get these vitamins because U.S. pharmacopoeia regulations require that the pill has no less than 95% of the vitamin as compared to what it says on the bottle. So
it's an interesting conversation. And then when we add into, the label claim disparities, how much there actually exists in the capsule as opposed to what it says on the label, then we have the whole absorption issue, which is supercilious to that. So, even if there is, 500 milligrams of calcium in a particular pill, how much of that is your body going to be able to absorb and uptake? And all of these variables come into play here.
Exactly.
And it is, in fact, a big bad voodoo daddy. And, I think last year, I forget the actual number, but it was billions of dollars that were spent on nutritional supplements in the United States alone.
Right,
and everybody's still sick.
Yeah. The same thing that you do is what we're after, which is A, guidance, resource, and education. B, in the largest net marketing context we can find. I mean, let's be real. What you're doing needs to be done. What Advanced Biocell is doing and will be doing needs to be done. We need to cast as broad a net as we can to reach as many people as we can to give people a step-by-step, 1, 2, 3, here's what you do kind of thing. Everybody, you and I know just about, needs a probiotic. Everybody you and I know, just about, needs to be taking vitamin D3. Everybody you and I know ought to be taking fish oil. Everybody you and I know needs to be taking vitamin C. And where do you get it, and what kind is it, and how good is it, and what do you do next, and what happens if it's not working? We need these forums.
And this gets to the very heart of the matter, which is education. And
Right.
This type of education is completely absent from not only the medical theater, but also from, high school. Kids aren't taught this in high school. If everybody was taught this in high school, this stuff is so simple. You could start teaching it in elementary school, and people would have a much better chance to be able to optimize their body's natural ability to support and promote its structure and function their entire life. And there would be so many chronic illnesses that would be sidestepped, and all of a sudden the economy would start bouncing back because the unbelievable medical bills wouldn't be crushing the economy, and everybody would be healthier, and there'd be less sick days at work, and it would just benefit everything across the world so much. But oh no, we can't have it this way, because the big pharma mamas would go, bankrupt. We can't have that. We can't have the pharmaceutical industry suffering. We have to have humanity suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a hard break. Stick with us. I'm finishing up the first hour with Bill Quaitman. Check out his website, advancedbiocell.com, billquaitman.com. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and guess what? This is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I will be taking your calls in the second hour, so call the studio, and calls are starting to line up now. And if you're watching the live video stream on YouTube, join in the worldwide live chat, in which currently there are 73 people from all over the world. Go to the drgliddenshow.tv, the drgliddenshow.tv, and jump into the live chat. It is free. Our guest this afternoon, Bill Quaitman, a bit of a Renaissance man. Bill, you've had such a long history with holistic medicine, as have I. I'd be interested to know, from your point of view, over the last, 20, 30 years, what type of trends you've seen, if any, in people's understanding, acceptance, and use of the holistic method.
I see more people voting with their dollars over the Internet. I see more people wanting to know better how to use vitamins rather than just, willy-nilly buying them. And I see a tipping point that's occurring where people are getting a bit more discerning and looking for the kind of guidance that you're offering. Your book is just so concise and so direct and so to the point. Our friend... my good friend, Dr. Rex Wilson, who is the longest practicing naturopath in the state of California, is going to give your book out as, gifts with purchase to his clients. It just, gets very succinct. And people are the same. Compliance is always an issue. There's misinformation, there's disinformation, there's hypnotism, there's all kinds of stuff that's going on. But I find that people do respond to a clear, simple message of start here, here's the next step that you take, here's the step that you take after that. We can go through this together and offer the guidance. You have such a great resource and education environment at your website, and it's just so important for people to have this and then send it around to their friends and really bring up the education level, like you say. I see people getting more particular with what happens. People I see more experiences. They want more results rather than, taking vitamins. So that's, Advanced Biocell is focused on different products and services that actually have impact and results and experiences with people.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in doing some objective measurement of the metabolic processes of your body, I think it's a very good idea. I think it should be something that people do once a year, on their birthdays. I think this is a good kind of a thing to dial into your year-long routine. every year on your birthday, have some objective blood work done, have some objective hair analysis done, have some type of objective analysis done to give you a heads up on how your nutritional supplement program and dietary discipline is working, and how's your, is there any spot in the body that needs to be tweaked up or tweaked down a little bit? I mean, when we bring the microscope to bear on a nutrified body, right, on a person who's been walking down the road of longevity for months or years, you can really get insight that you would not be able to get otherwise through looking at things objectively. And, of course, in Longevity Nation, we don't recommend this up front. We recommend this in the back. And if you can combine these two things, I think you will find it of great comfort. Because right then you know for sure, right, what's going on. There's no more guesswork.
Exactly. I appreciate that. That's what we say around these neck of the woods is knowing instead of guessing.
Yeah, and it's an important distinction to make. It's a very important distinction to make. And again, knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. We all need it. We all suffer because of lack of it. And, the irony of the situation is that there are resources like Mr. Quaitman's company, Advanced BioCell, resources like longevity that people just are unaware of for no reason other than, monopolization of the medical marketplace by Big Pharma. Bill, we could talk for a long time. I'd like to have you back as a regular guest on this program. We'll talk about that. I appreciate your existence on planet Earth. I appreciate everything that you're doing for suffering humanity. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
My great pleasure, and I would say the same about you any day of the week.
Life goes on, Mr. Quaitman. I'll look forward to continuing the conversation and helping to educate people about the wonders of the undiscovered country of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, taking your calls when we come back. This is Fire Your MD Now.